Well, there's been a dramatic escalation in the International Criminal Court overnight, with prosecutors applying to have arrest warrants issued for the Israeli PM and his defence minister for alleged war crimes. The ICC's prosecutor, Karim Khan, also asked the court to consider arrest warrants for senior Hamas leaders over the October 7 attacks.
There has been swift reaction from Israel, with Benjamin Netanyahu labelling the application absurd and anti-Semitic. The court in The Hague is expected to take weeks to consider the request, but there has already been strong condemnation this morning from the US and the UK. Let's go straight to our Middle East correspondent, Eric Torchek. Eric, good morning. How significant is this?
Well, Michael, it is a credible allegation that Israeli officials have overseen the commission of war crimes and crimes against humanity, including notably the crime of extermination. And in order to make those allegations, the prosecutor for the ICC, Karim Khan, pointed to Israeli statements and Israeli actions, including things like cutting off the water supply to populations within the Gaza Strip, cutting off the entry of food into the Gaza Strip. He cited the targeting of civilian areas and knowing well they were targeting Hamas leaders, that there would be high civilian death tolls associated with both their bombardment and invasion of the Gaza Strip. It's also a signal to non-state armed groups like Hamas that the commission and planning and ordering of attacks like that which occurred inside Israel on October the 7th will also be closely scrutinised, and those that ordered the attacks will be held accountable. In terms of how significant it will ultimately prove to be, that depends, Michael, on the pre-trial chamber of the International Criminal Court. There, 3 judges will assess this application, and they'll be the ones who decide if arrest warrants for those 5 individuals are issued.
What has been the reaction from the leaders concerned here?
So a furious reaction inside Israel. The foreign minister says he's going to ask states not to comply with the arrest warrants if the court does in fact issue them, and also from Israel's allies, who've condemned the application for the arrest warrants as outrageous. The leaders of Hamas say that they've also reacted angrily, saying that this application equates the victim with the executioner. But let's hear from one of the people named, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who says the application itself is anti-Semitic.
The ICC has no jurisdiction over Israel, and Mr. Khan's actions will not stop us from waging our just war against Hamas. But Mr. Khan's abuse of this authority will turn the ICC into nothing more than a farce. He's doing something else. He is callously pouring gasoline on the fires of anti-Semitism that are raging across the world.
So what this does is adds even more international pressure to Israel as it decides how to continue its invasion inside the Gaza Strip. It's already been asked not to push any further into the southern Gaza city of Rafah, and there's heated debate even inside Israel itself about whether the war and its aims of retrieving the hostages and destroying Hamas's capabilities for both governing and acting militarily, whether those aims can even be achieved.
OK, Eric, thank you for the update.
Another big story out of international courts overnight. Let's take you to London now, because WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange has been thrown an 11th hour legal lifeline from the UK's High Court. It's granted him leave to appeal against his extradition to the US. Europe correspondent Catherine Diss was in the court for the ruling and sent this report.
This is a legal victory for Julian Assange. The High Court of the United Kingdom has granted him the right to appeal against his extradition to the United States on the grounds that he wouldn't be guaranteed the right to use the First Amendment right to free speech afforded to other American citizens, and as a result of that, he could be disadvantaged because of his nationality. Outside court, his loyal supporters have showed their joy and relief at the court's decision today, but they're also disappointed that this does not guarantee his freedom, nor does it prevent his eventual extradition to the United States to face those 18 charges, 17 on espionage, 1 on computer misuse, relating to the publication of hundreds of thousands of classified documents relating to the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan.
We just want him free now. He shouldn't be in there anyway. I'm worried that having an appeal is just going to be there in Belmarsh for weeks, maybe months more, while the whole appeal process goes through and while they wait a decision as well. Getting sicker.
Oh, he needs to be free. The crime is he's still locked up. He needs to be free. That's it.
The court's decision today follows a hearing held in March in which the judges asked the United States to provide assurances that if Mr Assange was to be extradited to face those charges, that he would be afforded a right to a fair trial. The court's decision today shows that they were not satisfied by those assurances. The judges have now asked the legal team of Julian Assange and also those representing the United States to go away and work out a pathway forward. Mr Assange was invited to attend court today, but his legal team said that he wasn't able to, citing his deteriorating health condition.
Catherine Diss to the rest of the morning's news now. The national energy market operator is warning of an increased risk of blackouts in New South Wales and Victoria next summer due to delays in some projects and the mothballing of several generators. The Australian energy market operator wants to set up reserve capacity to help minimise the risk. The operator's latest update also forecasts increasing issues in South Australia's supply as soon as 2026.
Iran's Supreme Leader has declared 5 days of national mourning after the deaths of the country's president and foreign minister in a helicopter crash. The accident happened in heavy fog in the north of the country, killing 7 people. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has appointed an interim president who will be tasked with organising a new election.
Prominent legal bodies are calling for an overhaul of the New South Wales fine system amid revelations hefty fines for breaches of COVID restrictions were issued to children as young as 10. Fines of up to $5,000 for breaching public health orders were handed out to 3,500 children, many from Indigenous and disadvantaged backgrounds. The report recommends that fines for other offences such as transport breaches should be scrapped and the system reformed because it is inappropriate.
The National Capital Authority has opened design submissions for a national memorial dedicated to victims and survivors of institutional child sexual abuse to be built in Canberra. Advocates say the memorial, slated for the Acton Peninsula, needs to be substantial and thoughtful. A previously chosen version had to be scrapped after construction challenges emerged.
Tasmania's Greens will move to decriminalise begging in the state, saying it's time for the Depression-era law to be removed. Under the current laws, people caught begging in an attempt to get money face a maximum penalty of $975 or up to 6 months in jail. The government promised to remove begging as an offence in 2019 and says it is still supportive of repealing it.
Let's take a quick look at the global markets. The Aussie futures heading down. The Dow started strongly, but it's been steadily heading downwards this afternoon in the US as well. And the Aussie dollar is sitting at 66.7 US cents.
And Edna the Labrador, who has spent nearly 8 years sniffing out cane toads arriving on Groote Island, is set to retire. The NT community in the Gulf of Carpentaria is one of the last remaining parts of northern Australia untouched by the invasive species, cane toads, not Labradors. Edna will spend her retirement on the island and will be succeeded by 1.5-year-old Tex, who is also a Labrador.